Alright, gotta bring the name back on the overlay. Oh, God, I gotta add Sleep's name to the overlay now, too. There's no winning.
I'm sorry.
Koreans! Alright, one sec. Title T. Now, by the way, this is one of those few times you guys understand why this emote exists. Agency of B. Alright.
Understanding.
Balloons on the bottom. Sleep's on top. You know what, Sleep? You get a tiny little name. Because no barcodes.
You need to be at least 5 times bigger.
Yeah, this is the caster bias shining through right now, guys. I can't handle this. All right. Game number 1 of the semifinals for the Olimoleague. We just had the first semifinals play out, and the winner of this will go on to fight against Soulkey in the grand finals. Spawning, though, in the top right, he is Zerg by choice. It is the blue player Sleep. Or Sleep.
Sleep. In the bottom left, as the purple Protoss, he is Balloon.
Of course, not by choice, because he does play random. And a Forge.
Oh,
wow.
my.
I was going to say, though, your thing just now sounded like one of those trolley text-to-speech donations where you're like, Sleep.
I missed that thing. We should have a sellout day.
We should do another sellout day.
God. Actually, I don't miss it.
My favorite thing about the sellout day was just putting like the Batman logo along with like the Coca-Cola, and it's like nobody noticed for like half the day, and then someone was finding like, why is there a Batman logo on there?
I was gonna say all the money we made, cha-ching.
That wasn't that wasn't even our biggest day of donation. Our biggest day was the fucking Nerf jar day where people really got into that. That was a lot of fun.
I think that was by far our biggest. But...
I need to find someone to design. Like, I'm gonna pay a graphic artist to design like a proper Nerf jar setup for us instead of my like MS Paint skill version that I had.
But it's that part of the charm.
Part of the charm is that it looks ridiculous and terrible. Shut up, Zombie Grub.
Alright, so the Forge was interesting. It was a Forge after Nexus, and it's extra interesting because it is Dusk Towers. You usually get to 3 bases safely regardless of a Forge. So to see it on like the high ground, on the ramp, maybe it's something that he's experimenting with, because even if you do get to 3 bases easily, holding that 3rd base is still difficult. You know, we saw Soulkey all in against Choya so easily, and maybe cannons are something that Balloon's been working with really well. I don't know. Or maybe he just hasn't learned new Legacy of the Void Protoss or Scissor.
So
depths? What are those?
Well, so here's one of those things I kind of like, though, with the cannon, right? This is one less point you have to really worry about dedicating a super defense to early on. Like, it sounds silly, I know, but with things like Overlord drops and whatnot being more present in the matchup than ever before, honestly, not having to worry about your ramp, it's kind of a lot of peace of mind.
That is true, and then if they do something like Overlord drops or eventually Mutalisk, I mean, you know, always eventually pros are going to get the Forge, just the timing of when. So having it this early not only gives you those safety cannons potentially, but also gives you a much faster +1. And there was tons of builds in Heart of the Swarm and Wings Liberty. They revolved around having that +1 with an attack, so like the +1 3-gator, you know, what have you. So seeing that is almost nostalgic, but will it actually contribute to anything? I don't see too many gateways going down. I just see a robo. It might just be 1-1, actually, oddly enough, something that we don't usually see. If there are upgrades, it's usually to the +2 or whatever it is, whether it's weapons or armor. But occasionally, if you're building an incorporated Twilight Council, you can go for 1-1. You can be like a Terran, be like a big boy.
You can be a Terran. You can count to 1 and then win the game.
You can count to 1 twice.
3 times in some instances.
Oh, man.
You're like, it's like a child who's like, that's how you determine if you're Terran. This is like, I feel like this is like, okay, this is from the perspective of a Protoss player, right? Like as a child, you're like, count to 3, young Timothy. All right. 1.
No! Wall off! Dummy!
1. 1.
So, you know, like, okay, so this is really big, because this scouts the all-in, too. There's a bunch of gateways that are just slapped down. That's pretty bad. But you know those tests that happen, like, I guess in mostly, like, Asian families? I don't remember which, like, Chinese or whatever, but when, like, there's, like, a baby, they put 3 items in front of them, like money,
to see if they
like
pick
a
from
pencil.
the past life.
I thought it was to be, like, is it? I thought it was just to be, like, what they're going to be interested in the future.
Well, maybe there's
I
another
know
version
Japan
of it.
also did it. Yeah.
I there might be a version different than what I'm thinking of, but I know there's a thing where you put an item with like a lot, not just 3, but like items on a cloth basically, and one item is from the person's suspected
Oh,
reincarnation.
that's to tell the next like Buddha. I don't think it's commonly used.
I don't know.
Anyways, so I know it's Japanese, but okay, we actually have the attack going on. The War Prism came over here and tried to do something, but was instantly denied just because of the roaches. Yep. I mean, he got that scouts. He had the roach one already on the way. You know, Balloon's entire tactic here relied on not being scouted. 2-base Protoss All-in just aren't as powerful as they used to be. So,
well, I do like that he still went for the aggression, though. I thought he'd be panicking a little bit too much from those lings at home, and it did look like he was kind of struggling. I mean, he took probe losses. He shouldn't really take any, but I guess not too distracted, and a big part of why that took a few extra seconds to clean up was because he did go across the map and focus on that Warp Prism. Now, we have a Dark Shrine coming up for round 2, and it's worth noting there aren't a bunch of blind Spore Crawlers down, and Sleep doesn't have Overseers in place. So if this is just going to be like 4 DTs right off the bat, he's not going to be ready for it. In fact, these Stalkers inside the Warp Prism could potentially snipe off the only Overseer coming into play.
Yeah, it's possible. They won't have Blink for quite some time, and it does look like Balloon's going to follow up with an all-in. He does bother to clear out the third, so maybe not. I mean, he did get +1 armor, just finished, and he's still going to +2. I thought maybe he'd stop and just wait for Blink, but no, he is continuing on in a macro game to the best of his capability, anyway. Blink is not the ideal upgrade to have, especially this late. Early on, it's not so bad, but just a lot of Ravagers end up canceling that third base. DTs are warped in offensively, but a couple may need to be warped in defensively. Now, the DTs offensively do go into the main. Like, if he could hold here, they could do a lot of damage.
It's funny, though, because, again, he only needs, like, 1 DT at home to help hold this, and there you go, finally gets one in. Now, unfortunately, it looks like with the Overseer in play, he was ready, but, the Stalkers took some shots at that Queen, so she was already really low before this even began. The Overseer heads to the main, leaving the 2 DTs at the natural kind of alive for the time being. Not a lot of drones going down for this, though, and honestly not that much damage compared to what's happening at home.
Yeah. Not as much as I thought. I thought they were going to get into all 3 bases and really just rack up that kill count, but they do take out a couple more drones. I guess the one at the third does finally do its job. The Roach Warren actually goes down, I believe. It does. And the DTs are still not all cleaned up. There just wasn't enough units to clean them all up. So the initial burst damage that we usually expect from DTs wasn't there, but they're actually lasting a lot longer than they should.
Longer lasting. Third base might go down at this rate. It is kind of a question of what do you prioritize. I did pull the DT back off the natural, so I don't think Sleep realized this. Sends the drones back to mining, and that's where Balloon can start getting some damage done. And, again, Balloon took a considerable amount of damage back at home. That sucked. But he's done so much. I do wonder if this is enough to really bring him back into this.
The lack of a third is still concerning, but I mean,
he's gonna finish the third. He's gonna kill his opponent's third, though.
Yeah, I think that it is enough. He has to cancel his own third again, so he's lost 200 minerals so far with that. But to lose the third base is pretty big, even though it's a macro hatchery you could long distance mine to. It's not ideal. You always know that the threat of DTs are there, and the problem was not the detection, although that was some of the problem. The main problem was just the lack of units that were at home, which DTs are always going to be able to abuse. Balloon's huge bank, because he was anticipating getting a third base, might even be good in the situation. Like, obviously it's not great. He's supply blocked, and you just never want to be failing your macro like that, but it's the option to warp in 4 DTs in a desperate scenario where usually it doesn't happen. You're too busy actually having good macro.
So you can't necessarily put infinite force fields at the ramp because the Roach or the Ravager's going to keep breaking them, but all he needs to do is put enough to buy time. I mean, oh, well, they'll take those hits. He's got a pretty good army at the top of this ramp.
Force field. He has one. There you go, but he kind of misses. The Immortals aren't really helping out that much against the Lings, but they're added damage which he needs.
The Archon is getting here on the front line. Sleep's going to tap out.
He's done it.
He's dunzos! GG!
Jesus, working,
Balloon,
man.
what a god. It takes game number 1. But of course, it is the best of 3, and now it's going to be Sleep's pick for map number 2. Loser's choice and all that goodness.
So, I want to continue on this whole, choose the money or whatever thing.
Go on.
I remember, the guy who made Naruto, right? I mean, you don't know
him,
but...
yeah. I don't know him. We're not meeting for Sunday brunch anytime soon.
I remember early on, in one of the earlier graphic novels, he talked about that, and his brother picked the pencil, so they thought he was going to be the artist. And his brother is an artist. He did like a couple other not nearly as popular manga, and then he picked money. And apparently his parents were disappointed that he picked money, and they didn't actually think he'd actually get any. But oddly enough, as an artist, he made like probably a lot of money. So I do remember this Japanese thing. But I brought that up to say that like it's like a Terran, Protoss, and Zerg thing.
As
you know? Like
a half Japanese person, I'm finding it really insensitive you're talking about my culture to me. You know, sorry, go on. Go on. I'm sorry.
Anyways, Steve still hasn't given the map, but you know, like if you so you like you have a kid with whoever you end up marrying, right? And you want to turn him into a StarCraft 2 pro. So you lay out 3 items because they have to pick a race.
Terran, Zerg, and Protoss.
Exactly. And I don't know what the item's going to be. Okay, like Protoss is a block of cheese. Okay, and then Terran is an American flag.
And Zerg is just like what, Jello, like purple grape Jello.
Grape Jello. It's like a roach or something. So they definitely don't pick that one. What if they don't pick the Terran though? How disappointed are you going to be?
Not very, because at that point I'm like, man, why are you still playing StarCraft, bro? Like, it's 2050 or whatever. Like, get a life, nerd.
Why isn't it StarCraft 5, and why aren't there 6 races in StarCraft 5?
It could be Warcraft in space at that point. Oh.
Okay, finally.
I was gonna say, if he doesn't pick a map soon, I'm gonna freak out. So Freon Terraces is going to be the next game in this best of 3. Just again reminding everybody the winner of this goes on to fight against Sulky regardless of who wins, but it does look pretty good for Balloon. So far so good at least. Now, where are we at here? Okay. Never mind. That was the wrong button to open. I'm good.
You don't open a button.
You know what? You actually do, because that's how you, like, on your keyboard, when you pull off the keycap, underneath is the stuff that makes the button work.
It's not opening a button.
I didn't say I was pressing the button to create an action. I was opening it. Maybe I was trying to fix it. I'm the maintenance guy.
I pressed this button.
Good for you. Freon Terrace is coming up next. We'll see you guys soon. So, getting into game number 2, I hesitate to tell this story because I know what the results in chat are going to be before I even say it. But you want to know how long? Because I mean, mention that it's been storming right at my home for like 3 months. Not exaggerating, like literally raining or shitty every day.
Okay.
So I started going for walks again recently. Right, we'll do the intros in a second, guys. I got sunburned on a cloudy day. And I think a big part of it's because that's how long it's been since I've actually been outside for like an hour or more. I'm not going to make the joke because it's actually, you know, a PSA here. Like, even if it's a cloudy day, you're supposed to put on sunscreen so you still don't get sun damage. So next time, remember that. It just sucks because I've got to put all this, I've been putting lotion on my skin, like, it's like all gross. Hate it. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, game number 2. Spawning at the top left side of the map. It's his main race. And he lost with it. It's going to be the red Zerg player, Sleep.
In the bottom right, as the purple Protoss, it is once again Balloon.
So I did get Protoss again. We are going to bring up once more that Balloon, once upon a time, did used to main Protoss. This was like over 2 years ago. I do think, though, that at no point, no matter how good you get with the other races, you ever kind of lose that home touch field advantage. Like, no matter how out of touch I get with this game, I'm always going to come back more comfortably to play Terran than any other race. So for Balloon, I imagine he's feeling pretty nice getting a race he's quite comfortable with. And that last game, it's really cool to see him make it work.
Yeah. It reminded me of the good old days when Protoss, you know, just bullshitted their way through it. Nope, no, I'm just kidding. But it was kind of old school. Only a little. I really do like the Protoss so much more in Legacy of the Void.
The bias on this channel is...
It's real. Whatever. It's Heart of the Storm bias. Because I'm gonna say, I really like Protoss right now. Like, it's obviously having a tough time for multiple reasons, and maybe it'll get fixed, and maybe everyone's gonna turn into like the green Protoss and are having trouble and blah blah blah. But I do overall think it's a better race design wise, like fun wise. But occasionally having like a cheese is not bad. That was never what was wrong with Protoss. It was that they could actually heavily rely on cheese and then heavily rely on macro behind the cheese. That was so infuriating. Like, you beat the 2-base Immortal all in just barely, but Heart of the Swarm, they'd still be alive and kicking because you'd have like 1 billion minerals left over. So I like to see a couple of cheeses every now and then, and certainly that cheese was pretty cheesy.
I very strongly feel that as a Protoss player right now, if you can't, like, forget the definition of cheese, whatever your personal definition is, if you can't get aggressive, you aren't going to win this game. There's been no game we've ever watched where somebody turtles in 3 bases and wins off of, like, defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the closest we ever saw was Little Bao got to play that really passive game versus TLO where he went like 3 robos.
Yeah.
And it looked almost convincing, but even then, that's still lost. So I feel like if you play passive as Protoss, forget the element of cheese. If you're just gonna play passive, you're gonna have a bad time.
Mm-hmm. Well, with all that said and done, it looks like Sleep's not gonna get caught off guard again. Now, he did end up scouting the gateway all in with a Ling, and that's what he was so prepared for. He just didn't end up scouting the Dark Shrine, so that could still happen here. Like, a Dark Shrine could still be hidden, and you just forget to scout in 2 or 3 minutes, you know? But I think Sleep's going to be a little more paranoid and a little more careful. So Balloon's got to know that. And he's got to know that a Dark Shrine's going to be far less likely to work. So we do have what looks to be a very normal macro build. There are 3 gateways, however, going in the main base, as opposed to just 2. But along with like a Forge and a Twilight Council. Wait, why is there a Forge? There's already a Forge.
For double upgrades.
This early? This feels like just habit. Wow,
Actually,
no, he like immediately gets it, so...
I was just joking about the double upgrades. I was actually thinking this was just more safe because, you know, the unfortunate front wall, danger that's presented here.
Yeah. Well, he immediately went for the +1, so this was on purpose, and the Twilight Council did time out with it, so he's going to have some massively upgraded base units, and that's where it's where I'm questioning something, you know? Like, double upgraded charge lots sound really scary. Double upgraded Blink Stalker all in sounds really scary, but... it's double upgraded base gateway and very small army, you know, too. Like, an Immortal is scary, but not just one Immortal, even if it does have, like, the ball of, like, the best upgrades ever. So, this is just a very interesting way to play from Balloon.
I almost feel like Balloon, because what he does is not like, not to say that it's weird and it's cheesy and strange, but what he's doing isn't standard. And I do wonder if this is almost that drunken boxer type of, like, you know, Sleep sees this and says, why is this built like this? Why do you have 2 forges so early? Who goes double upgrades? Who takes a 4th at the or 3rd at the 4th? Like, there's so many questions to be raised about the way Balloon plays, and not because it's bad, but because it is just very, very different.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, look, we have a hidden base. Like, what the flip flagging for Negan? Yeah, and that Ling, I think, just barely didn't scout the probe that went over there. Like, it was only repositioned recently. I like that Balloon has his Elnaga, so he's gonna try and see anything that comes over here to scout.
Well, he's got cannons coming down too, which is really nice because this will actually help defend the base for a certain amount of time at least. But this double upgrade situation, I actually really, really like. We'll see whether the upgrade is going to be an auto win or if it's going to come down to compositions and concaves, because let's be honest. Oh, he's going to recall over. Oh, he's going to recall to that Nexus, but it's so early. I guess he's oversaturated, so it doesn't matter. These probes are actually better off doing nothing. Although he's got to make sure that he doesn't see this. This is a huge scout for Sleep to see this. He's going to be like, why is this mothership core and the probe's AFK? This has to be a big red flag that something's on the map. Now the Ling runs by.
This guy is so bad.
He doesn't see it. He's patrolling. He sees the recall, but he doesn't actually see it, you know? But here we go.
Amazing.
Oh, I thought the army realized.
Come on.
Oh, I thought the army realized. It looked like they were moving that direction.
Are you real?
Oh, my God.
He's gonna see this 3rd and be like, well, that looks appropriately timed for the stupid-ass build he was doing.
We're simsing it right now. I can't believe this Ling doesn't see it. This Ling is actually hurting. If this Ling had, oh my God, zombie! This Ling is hurting because it's false information. You think, oh, there's nothing here. I've been scouting it this whole time. I would have seen the Nexus. Oh no, what's happening? Am I lagging? Who's lagging?
Oh, who's lagging? Who is it? Oh, there's like 6 casters.
Take TV! God damn it, Emil. Balloon. How can you fake that it shows Take TV? Okay, so for those who don't know, just I guess a little bit of an explanation. Emil has a history of lagging out. He hasn't lagged out like over a year at this point, I feel, but it's just like it happens so notoriously. It just became this thing. Thank you, by the way, Poj0824, Pogi. However I mispronounce your name. They just hosted us for 24 viewers, so thank you. Thank you. We also had Silver8901 resub for 2 months in a row. Sorry we've been missing some of these resubs, guys. Twitch Alerts has been really wonky. Like, I thought it was maybe that donation, that weird Rupal donation that, like, screwed things up, but maybe it's actually just kind of screwed up.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
there you go.
Get out of here, Take TV.
Bye, forever.
Gosh, we sure hate
now
Germans.
Back. I can't believe Balloon is going to have a third base that's not scouted, and he's going to have 3-3.
He's also going to have a fourth base that's not scouted. Like, the actual base here hasn't been scouted.
Oh, because he's been like, something is up here, but I can't find what is up, so he finally sees this base.
Okay, so all this silliness aside, Pet is up. Or not Pet, Sleep.
Oh, thank God.
Damn it, barcodes. Sleep is up in supply. Now, okay, let's go make sure that sees it. Like, he sees it. There's an overcharge, there's a cannon. This is not going to be enough to hold on to the base. He might be better just recalling back.
Yeah.
I think recalling
save the world.
probes. Yeah. So, a little unfortunate. If you'd gotten away with that for a while, that would have been really cool. But this base going up works out, though, because now he'll have this base running. But here's where here's where this game gets weird, right? Number one, armor upgrades versus Zerg. That is strange to see. But having +2 armor against barely upgraded Lings, these are tickling most of these units. But it's also going to help when the mutas come into effect. Stalkers will not be sniped as easily.
This might just be too many units, though, even with upgrades.
I don't know. I kind of like his position.
Forward.
If the mortals would stop shooting the goddamn Zerglings.
Right? Like, they're adding so much damage, but not to the correct units. Almost takes Corsair Battle Shot to the face there, but...
it's very important the Stalkers live, though. These are his anti-air.
Right.
It's his only anti-air.
And he doesn't have that big of an army still, but
you know what?
+3.
+3 weapons on Stalkers. We don't get to see this almost ever anymore.
Yeah,
and
he's
because,
going for an attack.
Well, Sleep has to pull back, actually. Because you know what? I didn't realize he's got nothing on the ground. Because he lost everything on the front lines. Yeah, Balloon threatening to push. Oh, this is so weird to see. Those upgrades 3-2.
But, you know, he doesn't have any reinforcements. I think that's where really Balloon's going to falter. If he had reinforcements of 6 Stalkers at a time, I think he actually takes this game.
He's
a muta fight, then he goes well, but...
Oh, GG. I almost wish he didn't tap out there, because I feel like his upgrades would have carried him a certain degree in the game. But when you see mutas and you lose to mutas, I can totally understand why that went like that. Either way, congratulations to Sleep, who will tie up the series 1-1. Wretched barcode. We're going to go to a small commercial break as we get to game number 3, though, guys. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back soon with game number 3. All right, folks, we're just going to hop right into Lyrilac Crest. And as you can see, it's a very... I got to say, the dice looks really cool compared to like all the other things. Like, it's glowy, it's bursting with energy and light. But... this is what the random dice looks like, because I want to remind you all, once again, Balloon has been playing random this entire tournament.
He's gotten so far. In the end, hopefully it'll matter.
Why? It's like, you don't have to go with the lyrics, man. It just...
No, you have to.
Can we real talk? What are the chances of getting Protoss 3 times in a row on random, though? Like, that is not likely. That's a very weird thing to actually see happen.
Like that. You're just going to make everyone look dumb.
No, sorry, I don't mean like with an... I'm not expecting like, well, Rifkin, there's a 30.33% chance repeating. Like, no, but it is crazy that he's actually gotten this one race 3 times in a row.
It is. I agree.
All right, well, in the bottom right, he spawns his Protoss, playing for my insanity. It is the purple Balloon.
In the top left, as the blue Zerg, it's Sleep.
So, well, it didn't work. I really like that double upgrade thing. I was really hoping to see the game go a little bit further for it. And my question really is, maybe if you didn't try and do a hidden base, and he had just tried to secure a normal base, or maybe went for something more dedicated, like, would we have seen those upgrades perhaps play better? Because we saw what would normally take easily twice as many stalkers take on a small amount of mutas. He dealt with that pretty fine.
Yeah. I'm laughing because if he had taken the normal base, Sleep's push would have hit at the appropriate time, like at the time that he was anticipating, like, okay, I'm just going to go roll over here and I'm going to kill the third base, and then, you know, Protoss is going to cry about Zerg. And instead, he was like, something's off.
I know.
And he went searching for like at least 45 seconds.
Yeah, that shitty Ling, that Ling should have been fired from that last game, just straight up fired.
Definitely.
And I don't mean like, you no longer have a job when you come home. I mean, like, a Hellion should be brought into the map, even though there's no Terran involved, and he should be set on fire, because that Ling was the worst Ling of all time.
It really, really was. In fact, it shouldn't even be, like, you know, reduced back into the gene pool, because it is so bad. You don't want that.
You don't even deserve to be a larva, is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Like, that was the worst. But it is funny to, like, you know, okay, it would have been a safer third, but it also would have, you know, been attacked sooner, so I don't know. That was it was a funky build, but that's what Balloon has been showing us for his Protoss. The other races that he played, Terran and Zerg, he did do all-ins. So it's not that he's been showcasing an extreme macro, like, awesome way to go, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. Like, I think it's actually a very fun way to play, and it's exciting to see him in the semifinals. I'm sure the opponents that he won against don't think so. So,
just a small comment here. I've had a couple of people send us messages on the stream to host King of the North when we're done with the cast today. This isn't directly related to that stream, but, you know, Rifkin's Patreon does have an option where you get to pick the host once a month. So,
Wow.
if you guys really want that host,
wow.
I'm just saying. Overlord speed starts up pretty quickly for Sleep, but no evolution chamber in sight, so I don't know if this will be for drops or not. This might just be for better scouting. The really funny thing about this map, though, is it is good for drops, and that's kind of what I was hoping to see, but with Balloon going for a Stargate this time around, it's going to, whether it's a Phoenix, an Oracle, anything, it's actually going to be perfectly fine against would-be drops, which, again, are not actually happening.
They did the math for us, by the way, so...
Oh, did
4%,
they?
4%.
So 4% chance that he gets Protoss 3 games in a row?
Yeah.
Or is that 4% chance per game? No, it couldn't be per game. That wouldn't make sense. It'd have to be, like, way higher.
Yeah, it's, I think, 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
Balloon should go buy a lottery ticket.
But yeah, the Stargate opener is fine.
Okay, so they're called Scratch and Wins, but I forgot. I was going to say you should buy a Scratch and Sniff. Wait, that's not right.
Those stickers.
You're like, if it smells like strawberries, you'll win $1 million. Okay, scratch, scratch, scratch. Aw, dog poop. Not again.
I feel like that does actually exist. That actually sounds familiar, but you know, like back, like at least for me, this was middle school. I think the biggest, funniest joke you could make is to get markers and then swear to your friend or whoever that they're scented.
Oh, and then you would push it into their nose.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the other one was like if you would take something like a piece of paper or something, be like, look, it's a crush just into my palm. It smells like chocolate, and they'd be like, what? And they'll smell it. You just like smack them in the face.
Yeah. So like, there's this one thing because this game still isn't really getting heated up. I guess we have a lair on the way, but it's a roached lair, so it's not that exciting.
Plus, he's seen the Stargate, so it'd be really bold to go into mutas.
Was that apparently this only existed like for me and like not just my group of friends. I swear it was like my entire high school knew about this joke, and I don't know who the hell started it, but like you would tickle someone's knee and then you would be like, that was 1/8 of an orgasm. And so like every time I tell this story, everyone else just like looks at me like that's so weird.
So I've heard that as more of a rumor, not like a joke, like haha, I give you 1/8 of an orgasm. It's a prank. Calm down, like. But I've heard that saying before, where like that feeling of like ooh is supposed to be like 1/8 of an orgasm. Or something.
So it's like eating chocolate though, so I don't.
Really?
It was something stupid like everyone did. Yeah, you heard that. You heard the other one, but not that.
I'm gonna start buying a lot more chocolate. You know what I'm saying? Like Jesus.
Okay. Anywho, Hydra list 10 on the way. This was Balloon's choice, but as the map pool in Olimoleague is limited, I'm not sure it was really ideal. He already played on the best Protoss map they have first, and that was Dusk Towers.
Yeah.
Well, of course, if he had gotten Zerg, he probably would have all in. So, I mean, that's where the random would have come in, and that's where that 3.7% chance really screwed him.
Well, you don't know if that's true or not. People are still doing the math, and they're still arguing about it in chat. I love that there is some certain logic to it, though. Like, are you applying the percentage chance per game and then adding it, or multiplying it and then taking all three of the average? I mean, I don't know math well enough, guys, to pretend like I know the best way to go about this. I just love that it seems like other people also don't, but the difference is you guys are pretending like you do. So that's what's causing the fighting. Yeah. And that's why I come in and say, you know what? Confidence will get you so far in life, but when it comes to things like math, it doesn't matter how confident you are that 2 + 2 = 5, it still equals 4 at the end of the day.
Equals 5, I swear to God. Yeah. I used to be so interested in math.
Let me give you 5 reasons 2 + 2 = 4.
Okay, I'm listening.
Nope.
Okay.
Alright, Robo Bay coming down. Now, we did see Balloon hint towards a Colossus as he lost that last game. I don't know if that's actually the direction he wants to take it. Because Disruptors wouldn't be too bad given what's actually being made from Sleep with Lurkers and such. But, Overlords being more for drop.
It seems... yeah, drop Overlord's always fun. It seems that whenever you get Blink, you get Disruptors, and if you get Charge, you get Immortals. But that hasn't been... like 100% truth. There have been a couple of people who are going for Blink into the Immortals, and it looks like a very odd composition, but I guess in some situations it can work. There's still experimenting going on with Protoss. But it's nothing so far, just those base Immortals. It's got the Resonant Glaives with the Adepts, and it's a nice enough army with those Force Fields to cut the Zerg army in half. So I don't have to worry about losing right now. Where are those lurkers coming in?
I don't know, but we're going to have link drops just kind of circumventing everything now. There's a cannon here at the third. That'll help out a little bit, but there is nothing in the main. Balloon does not have a very big army supply, but he does have one that should be adequate to fight given the right... Oh, goddamn camera thing. Right circumstances. 3 pylons are going to be simply buying time more than anything else. Tries to catch a couple of these units in those force fields, but the lurkers have got that range. Meanwhile, sneaking around the bottom side, comes up here to the main. Double Overlord's going to unload, and this is going to catch Balloon off guard.
Very off guard. That is actually a deadly amount of lings. And it will be for Colossus, so look at that. Getting the Standard Thermal Lance as well. Something that Sleep will be able to scout. Now, I don't know, you actually see the Robotics Bay researching, and you might think that it's like Warp Prism speed, but... oh well. Now, the Colossus will pop out and be able to help with the main army, but the Lings in the main did their job. They got mining off of the main. They killed a couple of probes. Yeah,
Balloon lost a little bit of mining from that, but he didn't lose probes. Regardless of this, though, look at the income graph. Jesus, Sleep has been rocking and rolling for the past 8 minutes. Comes here to the third. Those aren't that many lurkers, but there's also just no way to contest them.
The ramp. Yeah. That ramp really screws everything up. He did need to find them on that bridge, and now he will lose the third.
Oh, boys, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh, that's
the Colossus now! Yeah, you don't have range!
Whoopsie poops. Alright, with that being said, I do believe that we will not, unfortunately, have that really epic random in the grand finals.
No. We're gonna have a ZvZ, just standard ZvZ. Okay, then.
Womp womp. I will say, though, ZvZ has proven to be more interesting. I'm definitely starting to fall in love with the matchup, especially, again, with games like Guru versus Revolver. I will never forget that game. That was the most fun I've had casting ZvZ in years. Thank you to DJ Chris Spear, by the way, for the 23-month resub. That's a long time to be a subscriber to the channel. We are going to go to another small commercial break, though, as we get these finals set up and good to go. So it is going to be Sleep versus Soul Key in this grand finals. Starts off on Lilac Crest, and we'll see you guys soon.